Is there a way to make a sector call right now at this point? Obviously looked at as a bellwether for the tech economy and for the overall markets. It kind of gave away leadership beginning last spring. So where are we at?
Yeah, listen, I'm cautiously optimistic that a lot of these stocks are washed out. There's a lot of concerns today over global growth. The chip sector actually started to see this weakness back in the spring, and it follows a historical precedent going back to the early 2000s, where semiconductor companies tend to be early indicators for the broader economy. Now, what's interesting is that we're in the midst of a negative revision cycle, but it's been going on since July. Historically, these revision cycles don't last more than 3 quarters. January and February would really mark the 3rd negative revision for a lot of companies in the space. So I'm hopeful that after the March quarter, the sector can get back to growth and these stocks can start performing better.
And would those downward revisions for earnings estimates be taking account of whatever the potential negatives are for China? I mean, and do the stocks price in something negative on the trade front at this point, and what are the implications?
I think they are pricing in some of the issues related to China. If our negotiations with China get worse, and we're in a situation where the administration is forcing companies like Intel and Qualcomm to stop selling into the region, that would definitely add a lot of pressure to fundamentals in stocks. Hopefully, we don't get there. And
within the group, where would you decide to sort of emphasize for buying in the new year?
Yeah, our top pick for 2019 is Broadcom. This is a name that just strikes me as being idiosyncratic. They bought a software company last year, which will by itself give them revenue and earnings growth, which I think will be a rarity for the space. It's a low multiple stock, trading close to 10 times. It's got a big dividend, north of 4%, with a lot of room to grow. So, I should also say that this is one of the best management teams in the space. So, coming off of a weak 2018, we're looking for Broadcom to bounce back.
Yeah, just I think it is kind of interesting how like semis and EM and some of these other groups that were leading the downturn have actually started to outperform. So, again, going back to your earlier comment about reversing logic, do you think that these are signs that either that things are improving in Asia, even though we're not seeing it in the data, or are these dead cat bounces?
I'm encouraged by the recent price action, seeing semis, at least on a relative basis, starting to outperform. One of the key indicators we look at is DRAM and NAND pricing. They tend to be a canary in the coal mine for the space in general. And in the last few weeks, we've seen NAND pricing start to stabilize after a pretty tremendous decline for most of 2018. So that's a good sign. We're seeing these management teams finally start to capitulate. A great example is the Micron earnings call from late December. I think that's important. So you're going to go into January, you're going to see another set of revisions. And then, as you go into June, some of the seasonal headwinds that's facing the group today start to go away. And we'll see what happens. But I'm hopeful that Q1 is about as bad as it gets for the group.
Tom, you think leadership has to change, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the big takeaways you take, that whatever is led in the first 10 years it's rare for that to be the group that leads the next 10 years. And, in the last 10 years, it's just all been about growth stocks, especially FANG. So I think one of the things we have to watch for is this rotation leadership. I think high-quality semis is one of those old tech groups that looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, and Romit, I know you you mentioned Broadcom, maybe Qualcomm, more the value side of semiconductors, correct?
Yeah, I think by nature, I tend to be attracted to stocks with lower multiples. But, Broadcom has a great franchise, best-in-class management team, great free cash flow. Qualcomm, you're playing for catalyst, which is a resolution with Apple, which could be tremendous to earnings. And then I think there's some other stocks that really are beaten down. I mean, down almost over 50% from their peak. You know, this is Applied Materials, Micron, you know, Microchip. Touches a lot of parts of the economy, you know, globally. Also a well-run company. That's a stock that has seen some pretty big revisions over the last couple of quarters, and you know, it's a name that my team and I, you know, really like down here.